On June 21, 2021, in a small town in central eastern France, a woman walked into a courtroom carrying the weight of nearly 2 decades of abuse. As she stood before the judge, her hands trembled, her eyes hollow from years of torment. But this was no ordinary trial. The woman, Valérie Bacot, was facing life in prison for killing her tormentor, the man who had been her stepfather, husband, and the question on everyone's mind: was this cold-blooded murder or a desperate act of survival? Valérie's nightmare began when she was just 12 years old. Her mother, Joëlle Aubage, had brought home a new boyfriend, Daniel Paulette, a truck driver 25 years Valérie's senior. At first, Paulette played the role of a doting stepfather, but behind closed doors, a sinister reality was unfolding. Paulette began abusing Valérie, subjecting the young girl to repeated rapes and molestations. This horrific abuse continued for 2 years before Valérie finally found the courage to speak up. In 1995, Paulette was convicted of assaulting a minor and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. But shockingly, upon his release, Valérie's mother allowed him to return to the family home. The abuse resumed almost immediately. Trapped and with nowhere to turn, Valérie's life spiraled further into darkness. At 17, Valérie became pregnant with Paulette's child. Her mother's response was to kick her out, leaving the teenager with no choice but to move in with her abuser. What followed was a grotesque perversion of family life. Paulette forced Valérie to marry him, and over the years she bore him 3 more children. But this was no loving household. It was a prison of pain and degradation. Paulette's abuse knew no bounds. He beat Valérie mercilessly, often using hammers or other objects to inflict maximum pain. He crushed her windpipe, leaving her gasping for air. He knocked her unconscious over the Christmas holidays, robbing her of precious moments with her children. A gun was his favorite tool of intimidation, and he often pressed it against Valérie's temple as he threatened to end her life. But Paulette's depravity didn't stop at physical abuse. In a horrifying twist, he began Valérie out to other truck drivers. Operating out of a Peugeot people carrier, Valérie was forced to sell her body while Paulette directed her every move through an earpiece. To ensure there was no doubt about who she belonged to, Paulette had his initials tattooed near her genitals, a sickening brand of ownership.